Hi, it's Evelyn again. I am a student at University of Kentucky, and I attended both Marshall County High School and the United World College of the Adriatic in Duino, Italy. And this is a video that's going to outline your own application and the best ways to go about it, some tips that I have. Within this, I'll outline the importance of creating an essay, creative writing and essay writing, mentoring and recommendations, and some frequently asked questions to me, and then finally your interview and what goes on after. So first, create a resume. Extremely important, but luckily at Marshall County you have a lot of help, if I remember correctly. Your counselors are fantastic, but also you have classes that are set up to help you do these things. I'm sure some of you have had or will have freshman focus, things like this, or know teachers who teach it. Even if you don't, those teachers that you're close to or your parents can really help you in giving a hand in your creation of this resume. Don't include insignificant achievements or achievements from elementary school, I would say. That's a really common problem in UWC applications because you're applying as a high schooler. They don't really care what you were like in 5th grade. I'm sorry. But what they do care about is the character that you have now and the development that you've had since then. Now, this is really important just as a side note and a pro tip, to make a resume now regardless of whether or not it's necessary, because you can edit it and use it later. It's been one of the most useful things in my life in applying for jobs and applying for other fellowships, scholarships in schools in general. Having that resume there to remind you of what you've done as well as to submit on its own is very useful. Now, another thing that you'll be required to have is a recommendation letter. I would see your counselors about this. They have to write one anyway and can give you more information on a good way to approach this. But whenever you're thinking about who to ask to write recommendations, I would of course ask the people that know you the best at school or in your community. I would say ask those who have seen you work through adversity, or have seen you flourish, or have seen you at your best. I would not ask people who have failed you out of class to write you a recommendation letter, just to be honest. I wouldn't ask people also that sound really cool, that sound like they know what you're doing, but that don't know you very well. It is always better to have someone who knows you very, very, very well. Now, that being said, I'd also ask, if you have to ask multiple people from different areas, people from different backgrounds. So if you ask your science teacher to do one, I would ask your government teacher to do one, or your youth pastor to do one, or your basketball coach to do one. So long as they're different but know you very well and can bring different things to the table than what's already on your resume or that you've already talked in your essays. Because they are the only third-party perspective that the people looking at your application will have. They're the only reference to your own credibility to character that the people who are reading your application have. So they're extremely important. Now, how do you go and ask? Go in person. Go in person and ask them face to face, saying, I really think that you know me the best, and I would be really honored if you would write me a recommendation letter for this program. Something to that effect. Something just letting them know that that's what you would like. Now, don't do this the week before it's due, but preferably do this about a month or so before, so that they have time to write a very good essay. And I promise, this is hard to believe sometimes, but your teachers, and especially counselors, are very busy people. Oftentimes they have families of their own, they have lives of their own, and they have some of the most demanding jobs that exist. So it is always considerate to kind of put that request in as early as possible, and then also for your own ease of mind, if they get it done early, you'll have it. So you don't even have to worry about it. Now let's talk about the essay writing in general. As I said in my previous video, if you watch that, in UWCs, writing is an integral part of the education. So your essays, they're judging really, really, really hard. They'll be looking at them the closest, most likely, out of anything else. So I would say keep it interesting, keep it original. These people have to read a lot of essays, and they have to go in great depth in reading your essays. If you go in for an application, for example, for your interview, they will have all of your essays in front of them, highlighted with notes on them, ready to ask you direct questions and pinpoint or call you out on specific facts. Now, I would also say, just from personal experience, that intertextuality is a good thing to include within these essays. Not very many people think about it, but you can cite other people in your essays, and you should. If there are other ideas or things that reflect what you feel, or things that are conflicting with what you feel that you'd like to refute, if there are things that you can build ideas off of, incorporate them, because that's impressive to have a knowledge of existing ideas and then have your own reflections and own ideas off of them, so long as you cite them, as long as you can give sources for what you did. That's impressive. These themes that are carried through really, really go a long way. I would also have it edited. Have it edited 3 times. Have it edited by a teacher if you can, by a friend if you can, and by a family member if you can. I say 3 is a magic number for any very important essay, always. But that's just me. But you do want this to be good. You want everyone to know that this is your shot. Now, some frequently asked questions that I get: where will I be placed? That's a common question. With 15 locations of United World Colleges around the world, it's important to a lot of people. How that works is, on your application, you will note your preference for UWC, and that will be taken into consideration, as approximately half of the people who are accepted on behalf of the United States Committee must attend the UWC in the United States. So the other 25 are distributed across the other international UWCs. That's done through a process of compromising between your own wishes for what you want and the school's wishes for what they want. Schools will offer the United States Committee specific amounts of spots, saying, we have room for this many Americans, but they need to be this type. They need to be strong in this area, or we'd rather they be stronger in this service, or we would like someone of this kind of character. So you kind of have to compromise between what a school needs and what you want. That's how you're placed generally, but 50% chance you will end up at the United States. Frequently asked questions, not really applicable to my next point, but I must encourage you all to be very honest with your character because of that placement. Oftentimes people on a lot of applications make themselves out to be something that they are not. And that is bad. That is lying, first off. And secondly, these schools are looking for specific types of people. And UWC is looking for specific types of people that bring diversity. Whenever you're being yourself, you're being diverse. If you're being whoever everyone else wants you to be, you are being everyone else. You're being what everyone else wants. That's not diverse at all, actually. And it probably wouldn't contribute to a community in a better way. So I think it's always better to be honest about your character, to be honest about your likes and dislikes. Even if you don't think that that's something that someone will want, chances are it is somewhere. Now, the time period is the next question. How long will it take before I know? Is it very difficult? Whatever. It took me about a week to finish my application. Maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks after I had my recommendations in. But after you submit your application, it'll take a month, maybe 2 months to review all of them. And then after that, they'll send out emails giving 100 students an interview. After that, you'll wait about another month, and then you'll find out whether or not you got it. But once you figure out, you only have a week to respond. Because if you don't want it, chances are there's another person who'd be very happy with your spot. I also get questions about eligibility. You are eligible to apply after your sophomore year or junior year, or if you are 16 or 17 years old. So if you meet any of these requirements, you are more than capable of applying. I applied after my junior year, which meant that I would have 2 extra years of two extra years from that year, so 1 extra year of high school. But you can apply your sophomore year and then finish on time with Marshall County High School. Either one's fine. What's also great about this is that if you apply your sophomore year and don't make it in, they encourage you to apply your junior year because you are given extra preference if you've already applied. If they've seen your application come through and they've seen you improve since that application as well, then that's impressive. That shows a commitment, and that shows that you are willing to continue to improve and change your environment. So insofar as that eligibility, that's it. Those are your requirements. Now, within the interview and beyond, I can tell you that out of however many are chosen for the interview, half of them will get a spot. And then 25 of those people will go abroad. So 50% get a spot, 50% of that will be able to leave the nation if you so choose to accept. Beyond the interview is a very long thing. I think this year it was an entire weekend spent together. In my year, it was a 6-hour long interview, both within group activities and individually. They want to see that you can work within a group, that you espouse the characteristics that engender community living in a good way, that can help everyone else continue to be themselves as well as allow you to be yourself, which seems kind of ambiguous, but they do a very thorough job in trying to identify students that fit that description. Beyond that, it's really just waiting and hoping. After that, I do keep in touch with members of UWC, and after your application goes through and after you have your interview, if you have it, always send a thank you email or a letter to people who helped you along the way, and to those who reviewed your application or reviewed your own being in your interview. That goes a long way, and it does mean a lot. So always remember to say thank you, and good luck.